coming back because I want you to meet some very special people. John Tracy Wilson and his wife Terry are with me today. And John has written a book called Of Life, Love, and Family, Real-World Insights into Our Most Important Relationships. Welcome to Babbie's house.
Great to be here.
John and Tracy, John and Terry, last name Tracy. That's what happens when you have two first names.
Hey, you can call me John, you can call me Tracy.
That's right. I'll call you John and I'll call you Terry.
I answer to anything, so it's all good.
And you definitely answer to Mom because you all have two children and one that's going to be launching her wings in just a few days and you'll have an empty nest. And we'll talk more about that. But I want our folks at home to know what motivated you to write this book called Of Life, Love, and Family. You're a musician, a singer, a songwriter, but a man with a heart for family, a heart for God, a heart for keeping our priorities in perspective. Tell us about this inspiration.
Yeah, you know, God inspired me, I believe, to write the book. I sing about these things in my songs, but God told me, you know, that's just kind of like piquing people's interest. That's kind of whetting their appetite. You have a message that people need to hear. I always get people coming up after the songs, giving testimony of how it connected with them, and it seemed like there was always more that they wanted to hear. So, yeah, there's a larger story behind the song. So I just answered God and said, okay, and I wrote the book and wrote it in my style, much like a song. There's a lot of twists of phrase and poetry, and I really agonized over it, like I agonize over lyrics. You know, I probably should have just written it in normal language, which a lot of it's like that, but much of it's like very thought, how do I want to say this, you know, those sort of things.
Do you find that the songs in your CDs and the stories in your books have a connection? Exactly,
no doubt about it, no doubt about it. A main theme, you know, of course, as you mentioned, the book's about relationships. I'm very big on family and helping people have stronger relationships and a better quality of life, and building those lasting legacies, the things that are important. You know, we get off track with our careers and accumulating all this stuff, you know, and at the end of the day, all our stuff isn't what's going to bring us that lasting fulfillment. It's going to be the relationships that we have.
Well, you are a dad of two beautiful children and married to a beautiful wife. And it seems like dads, this is not news, but seemingly in our culture, dads are doing a disappearing act. There are more single moms raising kids alone today than ever before in our culture. Talk to me about the importance of having a dad at home.
Yeah, you know, it's just this message that continually God keeps putting this in front of me. Even your guest earlier, Sheila Ray, all she said the most important thing to her was to have a relationship with her dad that she never had. And I just made a friend who's in the recovery business, helps people get off of drugs and alcohol, and he got a hold of my book and he said, John, man, you're right on. He said, after 25 years of doing this, it's not the alcohol, it's not the drugs, it's these people aren't getting the attaboy from their parents, and predominantly their dad, not the, you know, the verbal affection, the speaking of the words, I love you. I mean, even if they're in the home, even if they're not absent dads or parents, if they're in the home, the verbalizing of those things, saying I'm sorry and I love you, and those are things that are difficult, especially for dads, and it shows up in the hurts that people have. They carry this baggage around with them.
Bruce Springsteen,
did you hear Bruce Springsteen just came out, and at the height of his career, he was had depressive thoughts of suicide, and it related back. He couldn't even enjoy that time in his life because he had this horrible relationship with his dad, and that was still haunting him, I guess, where he couldn't. He had everything, and he still, you know, couldn't enjoy that.
Yes. Terry, we're happy to have you on the show today, too. You and John, how long have you been?
I kept rambling on.
No, this is so beautiful to hear from a husband and a dad's perspective. How long have you all been married?
29 years in October.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have to applaud you for that. With, you know, not just dads are doing a disappearing act. Not only are families in trouble, but families are in trouble because marriages are in trouble.
Yeah.
What has been, would you say, you know, the sticking power? You know, you talk about this relationship. You know, your book is about relationships, and this is the most relationship of all. What's been the sticking power in your marriage?
He's my best friend. You know, I mean, God obviously is our foundation, and I think it's really hard for a marriage to survive the rocks when you don't have God as your foundation. But he's my best friend. I mean, I'd rather spend time with him than anybody, and I think that's what binds us together, you know?
Yes.
Everything I do to support him because I think that's my role, you know? It's important. We're one now, and we need to act that way.
Yes, absolutely. Well, in your book of life, love, and family, you talk about, we've talked a little bit about family, but let's talk a little bit about life and your ministry. You are what you call a musicianary. Give me the definition of the term musicianary. What a cool term.
Musicianary. Well, you know, I guess a missionary is on a mission, and they have principles that they believe in. They want to convert people to those principles. So I guess as a musicianary, that's what I'm after. I want to convert people to this message, and I use my music to do it. I mean, you know how music breaks and tears down walls that people have up from their past and their hurts, and I use that to open their spirits for that message.
Yes, yes.